There were also two holes there for halters for the horses when their bridles had been slipped out of their mouths, and this was what my father used to move cows. He would take this cow and put a halter on her and tie the halter rope through this feed box hole, speak to the horses, and they would begin and start on their way. Now, you could roughly classify the cows that my father had into two types of cow. The first type had been through all this before, and when the horses began to move, they had already anticipated this move, and they would have started walking up toward the feed box, and all the way to the second pasture, this rope which tied their halter to the feed box hung in a slack loop. When they got to the pasture, they simply, my father undid the buckle and slid the halter off, and they were free to grass in the new location. But there was a second type of cow which my father had, and this cow had no intention of going anywhere. She liked the pasture where she had been. She liked the shade trees where she had been. She liked the cows across the fence in the next pasture where she had been. And so when the time came for her to be led, she had been taken over to the wagon and her rope tied to the feed box. But before the horses even started, she'd backed into the halter, but the rope was tight going out from her halter to the feed box before the team began. When the team started up, the halter would slide forward and catch behind her stubs of her horns, where she'd be dehorned, and clinch her under the chin, and by the time the horses started, she would slide. And dust would come up between her hooves, and she'd bellow all the way to the pasture. But she went. She was my father's cow. They say you're preaching eternal security. Oh, no, I'm not, because if she'd not gone, my father would have gotten rid of her. But as long as she was my father's cow, she was going to go. And she did. Now, I've watched people through the years, friends. The promise is here that God will perfect that which concerneth us. And I've watched people on their way to glory who belong to the Lord. I've watched them who've walked close to God, walked close to His Word, kept close to the feed box, so to speak. And all the way the rope hung slack. They never felt it. They never pulled on them. And I've seen other folks coming on their way to glory with the halter slid forward behind their cut horns, choking them under the throat strap, dust flying and bellowing all the way. Yet the promise is that He will perfect that which concerneth us. He will lead us into all truth. Friends, there's only one real question that you and I have. If we're believers, we are going to go into all truth. The question is, gladly, willingly, softly, or with a tightrope, bellowing, sliding, dust flying all the way? The choice is yours.
Now we trust that you've taken your notes and you're now ready to take our TV Bible exam, which is coming right up. Jesus said, "The Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, He will you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I have." The Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, He will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all that I have said to you. Jesus said, "I am the, you are the, he who abides in me and I in him, he it is that bears much." I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me and I in him, He it is that bears much fruit. Jesus said, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask and it shall be done for you. Jesus said, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask whatever you will, and it shall be done for you. Keeping God's commandments brings A, joy to the fullest, B, a sense of righteousness, C, a feeling of accomplishment. Keeping God's commandments brings A, joy to the fullest. Loving one another is A, good advice from the Bible, B, a gracious invitation from the Lord, C, a commandment of God. Loving one another is C, a commandment of God. Name 5 characteristics of the coming of the Holy Spirit. He convicts of sin. He convicts of righteousness. He convicts of judgment. He guides you into all truth. He glorifies Jesus. Hello and welcome to TV Bible Study with Dr. Ward R. Williams.
Welcome once again to our continuing story, the life of Christ. We are continuing in the 16th chapter, 17th chapter of John. And we're going to pick up, we're going to leave a few verses out here from John 16 on down through 22 with just this comment. Jesus is saying that in just a little while that he will be leaving them and they will not be able to find him, and that they will weep and lament and the world will rejoice because Jesus is dead. And then he says their sorrow will be turned into joy, referring to his resurrection. Just as a woman who is in travel during the birth of a child, but when the child is born, then her joy returns to her. And in verse 22 he said, you have sorrow now, but I will see you again. Your hearts will rejoice, and no one will take your joy from you. I'll ask Brother Beal to read from verse 23 through verse 27, please.
On that day you will ask me no questions. Truly, truly, I say to you, if you ask anything of the Father, he will give it to you in my name. Hitherto you have asked nothing in my name. Ask, and ye will receive, that your joy may be full. I have said this to you in figures. The hour is coming when I shall no longer speak to you in figures, but tell you plainly of the Father. In that day you will ask in my name. I do not say to you that I shall pray the Father for you, for the Father himself loves you, because you have loved me and have believed that I came from the Father.
This is a continuation of tremendous encouragements to prayer. We're told here more than once that we can ask what we will in the Father's name, and it shall be done to us.